Hello and welcome back to today's Personal Finance Show here on Dublin City FM with me, Paul Merriman from askpaul.ie. As you know, every week we have somebody in the studio talk about various different things from a financial planning point of view or from a small business point of view. We often refer to these people as experts, but I can wholeheartedly say that today is a proper expert, a legit of experts when it comes to health insurance. I'm joined in the studio by Dermot Goode from totalhealthcover.ie, which is part of the Lockdown Group. Dermot, thanks for coming to the studio. Really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
So this couldn't happen probably at a better time, this interview this week, because all I've seen in the papers this week is health insurance price increases, and we're talking about 3.5% increases, 6.5% increases, and also from different insurers. Can you give us a lowdown on what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, if you were to describe a perfect storm in health insurance, we have it right now, because what's happening is exactly as you've said. So first of all, off the blocks last Friday, Leia Healthcare announced their latest increase, 6.5% from the 1st of October. And then 2 days ago, VHI have now confirmed that they're going to increase their rates by an average of 3.5% from the same date.
Okay.
And then on top of all of that, we have VHI have already announced that they're reducing benefits on certain plans. Leia are going to change excesses on certain plans. Irish Life have now just announced that they're going to withdraw about 24 of their older plans from the 1st of September. We have special offers in place for child dependents with some of the insurance companies. So everything that could happen, most of it negatively for consumers, is now happening. So no real good news for consumers, except that regardless of what plan they have or who they're with, they're really going to have to shop around. So it's all happening now.
Okay, very good. So it's all come to a head. And then you mentioned the word there, the average. So, you know, when you see an article, VHI this week saying 3.5% or Leia saying 6.5% average, obviously your plan could be impacted by 15%. It's not necessarily the average you're going to be hit with depending on your plan, isn't it?
Yeah, there's two things that consumers, or two areas where they get caught out on this. So you're absolutely right. They will put out an average across all their plans. I mean, our initial analysis shows that if an average is 5-6%, some plans will go up by 10%. So really everybody needs to look at their own specific plan, and I would suggest make sure you're sitting down when you open that renewal notice. It's not going to be pretty. And then the second area where consumers are getting caught out is that they're focusing on this increase, but they've forgotten that they all went up earlier this year. So Leia went up VHI March, Leia in April, both by an average of 7%. Irish Life have already had two increases, one in January and July.
So if you were getting, if you were getting renewed, saying the 1st of November, you were getting hit with those both increases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you look at the cumulative impact, it's actually going to be, I mean, some analysis I did, most plans are going to go up all by 15%. Some plans will go up by as much as 24% year on year.
Okay.
So really, I mean, it's a call out to every consumer now that they have to shop around. And the good news is that with so many plans, and there's new plans behind the scenes, new plans being launched nearly every month, because look, one of the good things for competition, the insurance companies want to look after their biggest corporate clients.
Yeah.
Because they are worth significant income to them. So they're launching new plans all the time to basically manage and renew and cater for them. But the law states that every plan is available to everybody. So if you shop around, you will be shocked to find sometimes you can get very similar cover for the same price you were paying last year. But if you don't shop around, you're absolutely going to get a serious shock coming your way. So, but that's what's in pipeline. So regardless of your renewal, you potentially have two increases coming your way.
Okay. So Dermot, let's talk about the shopping around, because I think no matter what radio show you've been on the past or even into the future, you're going to say the same. And I say the same from a financial planning point of view, or any type of insurance, whether it's car insurance, home insurance, life insurance, etc. Shop around. But consumers don't do it when it comes to health insurance as much as they should do. And why is that? I think we know a couple of the big myths that people think that they have to maybe redo their waiting periods again, which we know they don't. So can you maybe bust a couple of myths here for people? So forget about these increases. Let's say someone's coming up towards a renewal in October, November this year. Why wouldn't they? And let's demystify that for them and get rid of those myths that are in the marketplace.
Yeah, so there's a few things. I mean, first of all, inertia is a big issue. A lot of people just are so busy with other things, particularly, by the way, small employers. You know, everybody is going to be impacted by these. So there's the inertia factor. I think with this level of increase coming through, people will have no issue. They will not be able to afford it. Exactly. Secondly, there's the fear factor. So there's a lot of people out there now who believe if I switch I'm going to have to reserve my waiting periods. The law specifically prohibits that. So I get full credit for all of my existing cover. So to put that into context, if I have a hip problem and I'm due to have a hip replacement and I look at changing to another plan, once that plan covers the same hospital, excuse me, and the same procedures, my hip will be covered. They must cover my existing conditions. They're not allowed re-rate you or exclude you. So
that is the biggest fear I think people have, especially speaking to people that might be, heading towards maybe 60s, maybe 70 years of age. They've got this big fear that they've been with a provider for the last 15, 20 or even 30 years, and they just are afraid if they move, they're going to lose something. They're not.
They're not. And you know what? Once again, if they engage with the insurance companies properly, Paul, they're going to basically cover that off. So, for example, one of the big issues with health insurance, with any insurance in Ireland, people are afraid to phone up and disclose things. So they're afraid to tell them their budget. Like I tell everybody with health insurance, tell them how much you have to spend. That cuts out all the nonsense, and now challenge them to find you a similar plan that fits that budget. And they either have it or they don't, okay? And you're not, I suppose, undermining or compromising your negotiating position by disclosing the budget, because the rates are fixed. The second thing is, if I phone up and I find, I like the look of that plan, that seems to suit my needs, suits my budget, now I'm going to tell them everything.
Yes.
I have arthritis, I have a back problem, I have a neck problem, I get regular MRIs in the Santry Sports Clinic. I'm going to disclose everything. And then the thing is, if I switch to that plan, will all that be covered, yes or no? And if you disclose everything, to be fair to the insurance company...
And it's not a yes or no on the basis that it's a pre-existing, they won't cover it. It's a yes or no on the benefits of the plan you're switching to. Let's make that clear to the listener, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So you mightn't get MRIs in Santry Clinic on one plan, for argument's sake, but that's not that they're excluding your neck problem.
No.
It's they just don't offer that extra benefit in that cheaper contract. Yeah.
Exactly. But even though, Paul, even to go back to the neck and back and any problems people have, like if somebody has diabetes, asthma, epilepsy, if they have any underlying conditions or concerns, they might have mental health issues, dependency issues, tell the insurance company everything. Tell them what clinics or what hospitals you're attending, tell them what consultants you're attending, tell them what your concerns are, because then they have to tell you yes or no, that's covered by the plan.
Okay, great advice, because if you don't disclose something, you get a plan that's not covered in the hospital, you're kind of at fault there, not them, because they didn't know.
Exactly. And you see, once again, with the insurance companies, they want to give you good advice because they know the legislation, they know the calls are recorded. So I would say to everybody, don't guess, don't assume, tell them everything. And then you're going to find a plan that suits your needs.
And Dermot, you're dead right. You said this at the beginning of that piece about the Irish thing when it comes to insurance company and almost a lack of trust and a lack of being able to give all the information because you feel you're going to be hit with a curveball or an extra bill or an exclusion. It doesn't happen in this case. So get all the information out of me as upfront as you can.
Exactly. I mean, look, 93% of all claims are paid in health insurance. I mean, the plans are very specific in terms of what they cover. There is no underwriting. I mean, you know, Paul, with other insurances, you have to fill in declarations, statements of health, material facts, disclosure. With health insurance, it's black and white. So that's why I say to everybody, tell them everything, check everything, and then you'll be shocked sometimes with the deals that you'll find. Particularly, by the way, anybody who's listening who's on the same plan, excuse me, for 5 years or more, or anybody who's paying maybe more than €2,000 per adult. Or by the way, there's 150,000 VHI members who are on the old Plan Bs. Those plans are now gone. Yeah. They now have to shop around. And Irish Life are retiring those 24 plans that we mentioned. That's going to impact thousands of people. They now have to shop around, you know. And to go back to the inertia thing, the people who are most fearful of changing are people that are maybe over 50, over 55. Yeah. And there's people listening now who know that their parents and grandparents are on these old, you know, dated schemes. You need to do the review for them. Yeah. You need to basically sit with them and phone up the insurance companies or do it on their behalf. Or when you're meeting an advisor, be with your parents, and you can save your parents a small fortune. Because, do you know, Paul, they're so easily spooked when they phone the insurance companies, and if there's any shred of doubt, they will stay on the same plan,
where they are.
And they'll pay a huge amount. They could be saving thousands exactly on that.
Okay, let's talk about how black and white this is, because you're right, it is a very black and white product. However, there's a few different variances in between what the cost can be. So obviously you're looking at your age profile and what type of cover you want. It's that much, it's that simple. However, what type of cover you want is where it gets complicated, because there's so many different plans in the marketplace. I know the HIA.ie have a website where you can go and look. I'm going to be very honest, I'm over 20 years in this business and I still think it's like rocket science looking at that. I wouldn't know what I was picking myself. And that's where you come in from your service. You will get somebody from a renewal point of view. They have to reach out to you when they get a renewal documentation. They can't do it mid-term really. So anyone that's renewing in between now and the end of the year with these increases really need to either do it themselves, which I think is a minefield, or go to someone like you preferably, in my opinion, give you all the information, give you the renewal documentation, and you bring them through what you think is best suited to what they have at the moment. Correct?
Exactly. I mean, look, people can do it themselves, and lots of people have the time and the patience to do that. I mean, and look, the HIA is a good starting position. I would say to anybody, even if you find a plan on the HIA, never rely on that, okay? You need to engage with the insurance companies or with a broker, because they are qualified, but also their advice, they are accountable for their advice. So in other words, everything has to be outlined in writing. They have to cover everything for you. And if there are any issues, you have recourse, you know? So, and once again, you're going to get best advice doing it that way. Paula, a good advisor, and you know this, a good advisor on health insurance will not start talking to you about plans or benefits. They're going to spend a half an hour sitting down and discussing what are your priorities, what's your budget, what's your underlying conditions, what are you concerned about, what treatment have you had in the past, what treatment is upcoming, are you spending a lot of money on routine outpatient expenses, are you travelling abroad regularly, everything.
Yeah.
And then once they've got to the bottom of that, a good advisor will start with your current insurer to see can they find you a better value plan that ticks all those boxes with that current insurer. If not, they will then look at the other insurers. And with 355 plans and more plans coming on board, there are plans to suit everybody. But a lot of people listening to this will think they won't take me on of existing conditions. That's wrong. They'll think that the plan they have is the best because they're on a corporate plan, but they're wrong because they took it out 5-10 years ago. So, you know, really, if you haven't looked at your cover in 3 to 5 years, if you're not on an up-to-date corporate plan, if you have everybody on the same policy,
you're probably doing something wrong.
Absolutely. There's money basically being thrown away there.
Yeah, okay. Now let's talk about Dermot. Sorry, just actually while we're talking about reaching out and getting advice, it's totalhealthcover.ie is the website to go to. They fill in an inquiry form and get in touch with your team, which is great. Can we talk about then the amount of policies that are out there? What are you finding people are, you know, doing wrong with the policy? So what are they not using? Let's maybe talk about the excess and maybe benefits like guys having cover, or women having cover rather, with maternity benefits on it, even though they're probably not going to have any more children or not going to have children. So those type of quirks that might help people save time and money.
Yeah, so one of the first things, and you've touched on it on a lot of the issues there now, one of the first myths out there. So people will see they have maternity, they've psychiatric, they've alcoholism, they've all these benefits, fertility benefits that aren't relevant to them. I would say to everybody, ignore anything on the plan that doesn't apply to you. They have to be on the plan by law. So don't be phoning up insurance companies thinking, oh, if I remove that, it'll reduce the cost. It's just not applicable. It can't be done.
Oh, great advice. Okay, brilliant.
So that's
don't be getting caught up with it.
Exactly. It's just one of those things, just accept it. In fact, I know a lot of this is going to be under review. To be honest, the insurance companies should be, whilst they might have to be included, they should be nearly hiding those benefits because it just confuses people. They're not relevant.
You're right, yeah.
Now, where people are making mistakes, or I suppose not making best value or best use of their cover. So first of all, you know, try and get a small excess on your plan. So Paul, there's people on plans out there that when they go into a private hospital, they're fully covered. But those plans might cost €2,500–3,000. There's plans now that are half that cost, okay? But you'll pay maybe the first €75 per claim.
Okay, so that's what the excess is. For people that are not familiar with excess is the first part of the claim that you pay.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But it's only in private hospitals. And here's the thing, people think it's per night. It's not. In 99% of cases, it's per claim. So if I'm saying,
if you went in for 2 or 3 weeks on a major operation or something like that, you're only going to pay the €175 in that example.
That's all you pay. So
to be fair, I didn't know that. I thought the excess on those plans was per night as well.
Yeah, most people make that mistake, and I think sometimes it suits the insurance companies that people think that way.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, look, insurance companies are all about premium. So if they can give Dermot Goode a reason maybe to stay on the same plan, they will do. But, you know, really, it's how you engage with the insurance companies. So do you have a plan with a small excess? Okay, yes, then explain to me exactly how that plan compares to what I have. If you're going to save €1,500, and by the way, that's not an exaggeration, and my excess is €75 per claim, I'd have to have 20 separate claims to private hospitals over the year to be worse off. And for 95% of cases, you would be better off.
I think that's a really good point actually made there, because I know myself, even from a planning point of view, we're talking about health insurance to people. When people are asking us queries about health insurance, number one, we send them over to you. But if you ask me, I'd always say to them, you know, rather than getting rid of the policy, you know, because people say they're never going to use it, then put the excess in, make the excess higher. If you're never going to use it, you get a much cheaper premium. So it kind of helps you combat that mindset oh, I'm paying too much, I've never got sick, the kids aren't sick, everything's fine here, this is a waste of money. If you feel that way, put a really high excess on for yourself, could reduce your premium.
That's exactly it. And Paul, you know now in your business more so than the health insurance side, you know, the attitude to risk really comes into play. So if I'm young and I'm healthy and I don't see myself really needing the cover, take out a mid-level plan with a high excess of maybe 350, 250 per claim, you get a lower premium. But as I get older and maybe I have underlying conditions and maybe like I'm going into hospital regularly, then a smaller excess. So there's a life stage aspect to this. As you get older, we try and reduce the risk down because we know you're going to be hospitalised more often.
Yeah.
But really for young healthy people, taking out plans that have high excesses in there, lots of times it makes perfect sense. And people, once again, another thing that they're not doing, people are not splitting their cover. So you could have 2 adults and 3 young children on a policy. They believe everybody has to be on the same plan. Completely wrong.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't know that either till we spoke previously on this, actually. Yeah.
They can all actually take out different plans to suit their needs. So right now, from the 1st of September, Leia Healthcare will have a deal where you pay for the first child under 18 and the second, third and fourth child under 18 are free. So you can put mum and dad on fantastic cover to suit their needs. You put the eldest child on whatever plan you want with Leia, and then the other 2, 3 children under 18, it's a plan called Essential Connect Health. That plan is free. So for any families out there that are struggling with this, worried about this, you have to look at that deal, and that could save you hundreds. And actually in some cases you get better cover. And I know we talked about VHI and their increases, but they, buried in all of this, they are going to discount their child plans on most plans by 25% from October. So actually that 15% average that I mentioned for families with VHI, it might only be 6%. So, but you won't find that unless you dig deep or you know what questions to ask. But really people now, I think health insurance has got to the stage where it's so complicated, you need quality advice
100%
just to make sure you're not missing out.
Look, I think anything, when it comes to anything financial planning, whether it's pensions, investments, the income protection, or putting actually an overall financial plan in place, we've always said this at Ask Paul, you really need to sit down with somebody who does this on a daily basis and is able to take a helicopter view, not get emotional in relation to their brand you've been with or the previous service you got. I can say as well, I think I've said this loads of times on my own social media channels, I have a health complaint, I have a kidney complaint since I was a kid. I've been out of children's hospitals and adult hospitals, and I know some listeners this morning might be able to afford health insurance. I would encourage you to try and get yourself in the position in the future to do it, because it does make a massive difference if you do get sick. And as much as the workers and the staff, the front of the house staff in the HSE, you look at the nurses and the doctors are doing an amazing job, but it's just not run correctly in my opinion in the public sector, and it can be very frustrating trying to get through the A&Es. Again, I know people are listening will have to do it, but if you can put a plan in place, if it's not today or in the future, to get yourself and your family some type of health cover, I think it's a really good idea. Darren, before we go, 2 things. Can we talk average cost for people here? Because I know when I'm listening to people on the radio and they're giving really good advice, you're still thinking, how much is this going to cost if I don't have it? And then maybe give the average of a family, maybe a couple and a single person, if you don't mind. It might help people thinking, well, I'm paying well over the odds. I need to have a chat with Dermot at totalhealthcover.ie sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. I mean, look, an entry-level plan, so let's start at the very bottom. An entry-level plan is going to cost about €500 per adult. And typical entry-level plans, look, you have the Assure Protect with Leia, you have the first cover with Irish Life, and you have the Public Plus Care with VHI. And that gets you on the first rung of the ladder. For people who want cover for public and private hospitals, we would always say you need to start at a mid-level plan. These are all around €1,100 per adult, probably about $270 per child. And typical mid-level plans like the My Cover 350 with Irish Life, you have the Signify plan with Leia, and with VHI you have the Enhanced Care 350. Good mid-level schemes. For people who want more comprehensive cover like a corporate plan, and I always recommend these plans because, Paul, it's like fully comprehensive car insurance. It just ticks all the boxes. And look, you're looking at there, for example, 3 superb plans, and these are the current rates. So Irish Life Health have the Health Guide 2, which is 1,516. Leia have the Inspire Plus, which is 1,546. VHI, by the way, have a very good deal at the moment on a plan called PMI 4316, which is €1,450. And that's per adult. The child cost will be about $350.
Can I just say to listeners that this guy has no notes in front of him, so this is how good he is. These are on top of his brain. Give me the VHI PMI
4316.
Great.
And now, by the way, these VHI have, I think now 66 or 69 of these corporate plans, and they all have this kind of numbering convention. You know, these corporate plans, just to demystify this, these corporate plans are probably the best deals in the market for 95% of people. Whether you're 26 or 86, they are available to everybody. And there are plans there. I mean, there's plans costing about 2,300, 2,400 for those people who want superb cover. There are phenomenal plans out there. I mean, plans that give you 75% back on every GP, every consultant, physiotherapy visits. So if I maybe just throw these out very quickly, there's a plan with Leia called XL Care, phenomenal benefits. There's a plan with VHI called Company Plan Extra Level 1. And there's a plan with Irish Life Health. Well, there's two, but one is Health Guide 3, another one is 4D Health 4. If anybody is on those plans, you have superb cover. But Paul, one mistake people make, they don't claim their refunds.
Yeah, they don't claim their refunds, yeah.
So claim everything, because the refunds, and here's another myth, claim off the health insurance company, get your 75% into your bank account,
and then off the revenue, tax back on. If it was €100, you get your 75 and 25 goes into the revenue. Okay, there's a massive range there between the entry level of €500 and you're talking about up towards €1,600. And again, that's why the advice is needed. And like I said, I've dealt with you personally and refer the majority of our clients over to you when anyone comes in with a health insurance question. Thanks for your time in studio today. I'm sure you've demystified and got rid of some of those myths from people as well. So yeah, Dermot, thanks for coming to the show.
My
I
pleasure.
really appreciate it. Have a good day.